Hey funnel builders, we've had some really good questions coming recently, so I'm going to kind of sit down and answer a few of them. Number one from Steve Bentley is, what is the number one most important metric that you guys measure? What do you measure? I found this article really useful. The following metrics are covered, things like sales revenue, net profit margin, gross margin, net promoter score, all this kind of stuff. So the absolute categoric number one metric that we measure at Sell Your Service is revenue. Now it sounds obvious, but I'm staggered at the number of businesses who still don't know what their run rate is. You've got to know your numbers, you've got to know your numbers, you've got to know your numbers. Cash flow is king. Your revenue run rate rules all, I think was something else that I was taught. And until you know that, categorically we bring in $2,000 a week, it's going to be very difficult for you to plan your next move, so you absolutely need to know your numbers. Elena, my general manager, it's kind of the call that we have every single week, talking about what was our run rate, and I want to see those peaks and troughs, because a peak to me is as interesting as a drop. I think a lot of people only measure their run rate by looking at their bank account, and they think, well, I've only made $2,000 because I've only got $2,000 in the account, or if I've just sold this product and I've had this invoice come in, that's the run rate that we've got. That's our cash flow, and it's not. You need to start measuring your cash flow week in, week out, and looking at that. And that was probably a colleague of mine, Paul. That was the number one thing he taught me, was as soon as you understand your revenue, as soon as you understand your run rate, you're going to have a lot more control over the distance that you go within your business. It kind of reminds me, and I'll link this in the next video, of some of the other business metrics that we began understanding, and what gets measured gets managed. And I felt we had a real problem with revenue, and I felt that we had a real problem with money. I never know where it went, and I was always thinking, well, why can't we afford this month, but the next month we can? What am I doing differently? I haven't changed my sales process. I haven't changed my lead generation process. What am I doing differently? And looking at our run rate and looking at our revenue per week, per month, per quarter, and really analyzing it, we found some amazing patterns in how we sell. And since understanding that, and since really embracing, because I'm not naturally a numbers person, I'm not naturally good with spreadsheets or figures or anything like that, so it was difficult, and why I have a general manager who's kind of in charge of ops to look at that kind of stuff, and we get amazing insight. The number one thing that I want to look at is basically my revenue rate. So I'll talk about this on the video. I don't know which side it's going to be on, over here, so you can go ahead and check that one out. That's going to be talking about what gets measured gets managed, and the fastest way for you to be able to start growing a particular metric is actually measuring it at all, and making sure that you check in on it every 30 days or every 7 days. So that's what I'll talk about in this other video.